22. Is that better? Yes. Yes. Good. Thank you. All right, LT, we ready? Rolling? Thank you. Everybody, take your seats. We got a lot to do and a little bit of time to put in. We got like 2 hours condensed into 45 minutes if that's possible, so we're going to do a little time warping today. My name is Robert Scott Bell, and I'm honored to be here to introduce our next guest. Here in Chicago at the Health Freedom Expo, he's a hometown hero in Chicago. We're talking about someone who has not only transformed this area, but literally the people on planet Earth are better for this man being here with us because of the things that he's done and taken on. He's inspired me over the years with his #1 visited health, alternative, natural, integrative health site on planet Earth, Mercola.com, of course. And he's going to share with you, 30 years of stuff in like 45 minutes to an hour, as much as we can get in. So I don't want to say too much because I want to maximize the time that we have here this afternoon with Dr. Joseph Mercola. Welcome, Dr. Joseph. Now? Yes. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. We've got a lot of great information with you to share today, and really exciting developments is happening. So hopefully we'll have a good time today. This is actually first time I ever gave this presentation. So we're spending $3 trillion every year for healthcare in this country. $3 trillion a year. That's a lot of money, right? Now, with that type of volume of dollars involved, there's a lot of money available for advertising and influencing individuals. In fact, we're spending $4 billion, we are, the drug companies are spending $4 billion for direct-to-consumer advertising. Does anyone watch TV? You ever see those commercials? That's part of that. It sounds like a lot of money, right? But actually, they spend 400% more to advertise to doctors. That's over $10,000 a year for every doctor in the U.S. So is that model that is responsible for corrupting and really influencing, distorting the truth and reality, and really directs and dictates exactly what is most of the options that are being available to us. Now, did you know what the average person, how many prescription drugs the average person in the United States takes? 15? 6. It's actually 13. Wow. Now that sounds like a lot, right? But I haven't taken drugs for decades. I'm sure most of you haven't taken them either, right? So someone's taken our drugs. It's a lot more than 13. But if you actually differentiate and go into the subgroups, if you're 19 to 64, it's only 11. But if you're elderly, it's 31 drugs per year. And these drugs are not benign. They have interactions, right? The average drug has over 70 side effects. Some have over 500. And remember, the average person's taking 11, right? Or 13. So the drugs interact with each other. So if you're taking it at the same time, there's a risk that you're going to have an interaction. So when you take 2 drugs, that risk is 10%. Bump it up to 3 is 30%, 5, 60, and 7, 80%. There's going to be an interaction. So this is really the crux of the problem. The drug companies
are coming up with a drug for just about every disease you can think of. And they're creating diseases out of thin air. The most classic one, of course, is cholesterol. But you know that 1 of every 4 adults, or 1 of 4 of every American over 45 is taking this kind of drug. That is insane. It is just ridiculous. That's what's happening. And here's another one. High blood pressure, right? Well, 25% of people who are diagnosed with high blood pressure don't even have it. They have what's called white coat hypertension. They get nervous when they see the doctor, blood pressure goes up, and of course, they've got, so they fail to ever explain almost all the time what the real solution to the problem is, which is controlling your insulin through lifestyle, appropriate diet choices, and exercise, which will almost universally correct high cholesterol levels and high blood pressure. But they don't do that. So they put them on a drug, and if the drug doesn't work, you know what they put them on next? It's a new one, antidepressant. Because they're obviously too stressed out.
Right.
It's just insane. Now these drugs, can everyone see that? There's a kind of, all right. So these drugs are not without the side effects, as we mentioned. So much, and these side effects cause serious problems. Serious enough that 700,000 people every year in the United States alone go to emergency room. That's a pretty big deal, right? Of those 700,000, 106,000 die from the drugs. Properly prescribed, legally used medications, appropriately used. Normal side effect, death. There's only 10,000 people a year who die from illegal drugs. So we've got the wrong war on drugs. That's a good one. Now you can see that we're getting to the point where we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And the message here is that yes, you can take control of your health. That's the key. You have to take responsibility and do that. Now I'm going to tell you how to get maximum benefit from being here today, all right? First of all, taking notes, important component. When you take your notes, first of all, who would like to know how to take the best notes? Right, give you the hint. Only limit your notes to action items. Things that you're going to do, all right? So that you look at that and you go home and say, God, I got to do this thing. Because if it's just a detailed point of information, it's going to be on the website. Does anyone know the site? So, I started this site in 1997, which is a while ago. And there's a lot of information. There's 300,000 pages up there. So if I say something that sounds interesting, it's on the site. I'm not like creating this out of thin air. So you can go to the search box. A lot of people don't know this. You can access those 300,000 pages. So just type it in there if you need the detail. And is anyone here not subscribed to the site? All right, well, that's your take-home action item, is that you've got to put on your action list, subscribe to the site. Now, do you know what percentage of food that Americans purchase are processed foods? 90%. Who said it over? All right. Brittany, you give this woman a vote. She got the right answer. She was a little. That was good. She either read it or in the previous lecture.
Learned it from you.
Do you know how much soda the average American drinks per year? A lot. It's not. It would be right. 6 gallons?
86.
86 gallons. That's a lot, isn't it? No, it's not 86. No, it's a lot. 57 gallons a year. Do you know how much sugar is in your blood? If If we were to take your blood and have a machine to extract all the blood, the sugar in the blood, and take every microgram out, how much sugar would that be? Half a cup, pint, because you have a gallon of blood. A gallon of blood in the body. 1/16 of an ounce? That's an ounce. Oh, that's half an ounce. Half an ounce. That's 15 grams. 1/16 of a cup. Any other guesses? 300 grams, close to a pound. The answer is 1 teaspoon. You know why? Because if you have more than a teaspoon, you will go into hyperglycemic shock and die. Your body regulates your blood sugar very, very carefully through insulin. So rather than die, your body says, let's lower your blood sugar so it raises insulin. And that works okay occasionally. But if you do it all the time, like almost the entire population, then you develop what's called insulin resistance, which is the crux of what, and really the core behind most chronic degenerative diseases. It's really, really hard to be healthy if your insulin levels are high. Fasting. You know, the number one source of calories in the United States. All right, you got it first. Raise your hand. Brittany will find you. It's fructose or fructose. They're both correct. You are being deceived, no question. You're being lied to because the associations on the bottom, AMA, the ADA, the FDA, physicians, they're all telling you that there's high fructose corn syrup does not appear to contribute to obesity more than any other sweeteners. You know why? That it is partially true, but it's also untrue. The reason is because fructose has some very severe metabolic consequences. Now, is this a pointer too? Is it the top here? Not really. Skip a little. But on here, you can see this is regular table sugar, which is what's called a disaccharide. It's two sugars connected together with an acid bond in the middle. And half of regular table sugar is fructose, and half is regular sugar. But the fructose is what really causes the danger in sugar. But high fructose corn syrup is only 55% fructose. It's 45% vegetables or glucose. Because fructose is causing the damage. And the reason why high fructose corn syrup is such a pernicious and dangerous element that contributes to chronic disease is that it's so darn cheap. In the 1970s, scientists, Japanese researchers, figured out how to make this from corn. And they extract it, and it's so inexpensive, it's used pervasively in almost all processed foods. Because for virtually no money, it's almost free, they can make the food taste better and have more people buy it. But fructose causes you to be heavy and gain weight. I believe that is the number one cause of weight gain in this country. We have an epidemic of obesity with 2/3 of the country being overweight. Causes inflammation, accelerates aging, and who wants to get old, right? Does anyone want to get old? Faster than we have to? But most of us aren't too concerned about that. At least what motivates our behavior we are concerned about is skin wrinkling, right? I don't care if I get old, I don't want my skin to wrinkle. Or I don't want a beer belly or have cellulite. Well, that's what fructose causes. It's also a liver poison, and it's the primary cause of non-alcoholic liver hepatitis. And it increases your risk of cancer in just about every chronic liver disease. So fructose in amounts more than we should have is a huge problem. It causes, as I said, insulin resistance. And you can see from that graph all the different clinical conditions that are worsened by insulin resistance. So let's have a better sweetener. So a lot of people use honey or agave. And as you can see from this table, that sucrose, which is table sugar, as I said, is 50% sugar, and high fructose corn syrup is 5%. But honey is 70%, and agave is 80%. In fact, when we first, does anyone remember when I first looked at it on the website? I had the article, and then can you believe the agave industry was really mad at me? Because they're hurting their sales. So, and they said, no, our agave doesn't cause it. So what we did, and we did a follow-up report, we actually paid a lab to examine the top 4 agave products in the country, and you know what? It was actually worse. It was actually worse. So you really need to stay with agave. There is no help. You can use stevia. Stevia will work. So how much fructose can you stevia? Well, about 100 years ago, we were eating 15 grams a day. That's what the typical person ate, 15 grams. Today, it's 75 grams. Now, I know some people in this room are not that good at math, so I'm going to do the numbers. That's a 500% increase. 500%. So it's okay to have a little fructose, and fructose is part of fruits. So 15 to 25 grams is probably going to be helpful and contribute to it. It's not going to cause a problem, but the average person is taking 5 times that. So if you're taking 5 times that, I wouldn't suggest that you eat fruit. You know, if you're an average person, if you've got a clean diet and you don't have health problems, you don't have the signs of insulin resistance, which is obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, high blood cholesterol, then you're fine. Then you can have the fruit without a problem. Now, a lot of people disagree with me on that, but that's what, in my experience. Because if you do that, you can take control. That's what it's all about doing. Now, what we're going to talk about now is genetics. You know, there was a Human Genome Project that took, I think, 15 years to complete, came in a bit ahead of time, and billions of dollars. And they were able to find out how many genes we have in our body. How many genes we have? A lot less than they thought. They thought we had about 100,000. There's only 25,000 genes. And all the science was really directed in attention to identify this aspect of technology that we could use to improve our health, because they thought it was these genes that would generate a protein that would identify what these proteins were to correct a lot of disease. Well, it turns out that only 10% of those genes are used to make protein, and 90% of them are junk DNA, supposedly junk DNA. Well, and they also found out that like wheat has like 80,000 genes. So it's not all in the genes. It's actually in the expression of the genes. And the science of the expression of genes is called epigenetics, which means the control of the genes, above the genes. What can control your genes? Because you can be born with some really dangerous genes, like with breast cancer, some other diseases, and as long as those genes aren't activated, you're going to be okay. So what controls them? Diet. Can you imagine that? Diet. Exercise, toxins, and the most important one are your emotions. So the placebo effect is real. It's actually true. And unfortunately, science doesn't take advantage of it too well. The way that you can, obviously the traditional medicine does mostly, is to use drugs to treat the emotional component. They do that very regularly. I don't recommend that unless, I mean, there's cases where it may be appropriate, but it's certainly not the long-term solution. Prayer is another good tool. And obviously been done for centuries and highly effective. Meditation is another approach. A newer approach is energy psychology, and there's probably over 10,000 psychologists who use this, and there's a lot of different ways that it can be implemented. Most of them are very effective, and the one that I was found most useful is EFT, which is short for emotional freedom technique. And there's lots of information on that on the site. And you know, what's the number one action you can do to get healthy? Now this is really directed for a typical, not necessarily this way, who's clearly functioning at a higher level because you're here, trying to get information, you know, you're aware, you're conscious. But for the typical, like your friends and family who are not health conscious, you know, and kind of think back to one of the earlier slides that we had that talks about what typical Americans are doing. So what's the most powerful action that the average American can take to get healthy? This is important because you're going to have a massive influence on your people you really care about. Yeah.
Drink clean processed food.
No.
Drink clean water.
You got it. Stand up and have birthday. That's it. She got it. Drink pure water. Pure water. Because the average person is drinking 57 gallons of soda a year. This is the simplest, easiest choice that you can make. And it's not that hard, really, to just switch to drinking water. Now, there are things that are actually worse than regular soda. That's called diet soda. You don't want that. Now, has anyone seen this, these Splendid Essentials? I wrote a book called Sweet Deception. It took me like 3 years to write. I had like 5 full-time researchers. It was the most comprehensively researched book I ever wrote. And it was all about Splenda, and they threatened, I got a 20-page letter from the New York attorneys, the firm representing Johnson & Johnson, that they were going to sue me if I published a book. So we researched it about it, and of course we published it in soon. So I hadn't looked at it for a while because I thought it was dismissed, but the videos I made initially were like 6 years ago or something, they were pretty old. So I had updated. So as an update, I looked on their site and found this. And can you believe this? They have, this is so crazy. This is just insane. They've got Splenda with antioxidants, Splenda with B vitamins, and Splenda with fiber. It's just beyond nonsensical. And then, you know, I actually went to the site to find out what their moniker was that apparently they gave up because I couldn't find another site for it. So it was something like no different than sugar, because they were trying to convince you that it was sugar and chlorine. And actually, it's a covalently bounded chloride ion into this sucrose molecule, which doesn't exist anywhere in nature. It is absolutely the only ionically bound, like table salt, so it's associated with easily. But this chloride bond, you see the same things like in DDT, dioxin, mustard gas, you know, really great things. And your body has no clue how to get rid of this stuff, which is why there's no calories. You can't break it down. It's not as dangerous, though. I mean, I use this as an example of how, you know, we're just being deceived like crazy. And they're getting away with it. But aspartame is even worse. It really is. That's the worst are non-artificial sweetener. You just can't have this stuff. It just can't be anywhere. Of course, they call it sweetening. Very, very dangerous. Partially, you know, it was purported to be natural too, because it was 2 amino acids put together in an ester bond, and it's natural, you know, with proteins, right? Well, they're highly isolated, highly concentrated forms of isolated amino acids, which I don't recommend. There's a lot of people who do strength training too. They do high doses of creatine or glutamine or other branching amino acids. But I don't recommend those either, because for the similar reasons is that you're exposing your body to nutrients and levels and ratios that were never really designed to have complications and consequences, something like this. So in case of aspartame, you have phenylalanine and aspartic acid. But that can cause problems, but there's an ester bond that breaks off, and it actually breaks off too if the diet soda is heated. So it turns into methanol, like immediately. Now, methanol is wood alcohol. You know, like some Skid Row drunks would be drinking it, they go blind or die. So it's a breakdown product, and it passes, the reason why it's so dangerous is it passes through the blood-brain barrier, gets into your brain, and then once it's in your brain, it breaks down to formaldehyde. And it's one of the major causes of MS. So you don't want this stuff. It can cause headaches, seizures, brain tumors. It's bad news. It really is. And the story, I'm sure most of you have heard the story behind with Donald Rumsfeld, really sliding this through the administration, I think Jimmy Carter's days. And it was just a total scam. This should have never been approved. But interestingly, the point I want to make is that when G.D. Cyril, I believe, or Monsanto, I forget which one, was confronted with the fact that there's methanol in, well, their response was, well, there's methanol in fruits. And you know what? You're right, there is methanol in fruits. But methanol in fruits is bound to pectin. So your body can't break it down, it passes out with no problems. Unless that fruit or vegetable is canned and processed. Then it breaks down, that methanol associates over time, the longer, the worse it is, and you actually drink free methanol when you have canned orange juice or bottled orange juice. So you don't want it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of fruit juices. Fruits, to begin with, I mean, whole fruits are certainly better than fruit juices. If you're freshly squeezed juice, that's certainly going to be better than canned juice. But there's just no reason to have canned juice. Or vegetables. Now, like tomato sauce or tomato paste, the same issue here. Usually, though, when you have tomato sauce, you cook it and the methanol volatilize, so it's not in there. Now, another issue is BPA, bisphenol A. Potent, dangerous endocrine disruptors, so all these plastic products. What's the best way to limit BPA? No packaged foods. Stay away from packaged foods with the plastic. That's why someone in your family has to spend time in the kitchen. Either you, your spouse, or someone you pay, so you're not eating processed foods packed in plastic. Now, who can answer that one? Actually, of course, it's exercise, right? Only 20% of it is exercise. Diet. But you do have to exercise. Exercise is key. This is a person, I don't see patients anymore. I stopped seeing patients, I think 5 or 6 years ago. But one of the last patients I saw was a person who had a clinical condition called Addison's disease, Cushing's syndrome. Cushing's disease, actually. Cushing's syndrome is actually something you get in prednisone. But Cushing's disease is actually very rare. It's a pituitary tumor. And it's deadly. It's terminal. This person had seen physicians at the University of Chicago, down in Hyde Park, which is actually where I went to school. And I didn't go to USC. I went to medical school in Hyde Park. And he actually, when he came in to see me, they made a mistake in surgery. They screwed up, which this happens commonly in university hospitals. And the surgeon nicked his optic nerve, and guess what? He's blind. But wait, here's one. He had an anesthesia complication. And he can't walk. Paralyzed. But Dan was still exercising. So Dan can exercise. But the key thing is, 90% of people are exercising wrong. Now I travel, I go to hotels, fitness centers, so I get a chance to see, what the average person is doing. They're typical. And this is what I see. Do you see this in your fitness centers? They're on the cardio equipment, right? Now, I'm not trying to be hypercritical because I fell into the same trap. 1968. Anyone ever see that book? Aerobics by Ken Cooper? I read it in that is the copy of the book I have, 1968. And I started my exercising back then. I started that excessive cardio was fraught with complications. So does anyone know who this person is? No? It's her sister. No, it is Joe. Who said Joe? All right, you get a book. Over there, baby. Now, she looks pretty healthy, right? You know what she did? What did she do? She won the gold medal in the women's marathon in 1984 in LA, right? That's her winning the gold medal in that year. First time the women's marathon was ever run. She looks pretty healthy, would you say? Would you like to see what she looks like today? Does she look healthy? She was in her 40s. Yeah. She's late 40s. And she looks like she's smoking, right? Because there's an immense amount of oxidative stress. And we call this a clue. Because exercise is great, we all need it, but if you get the wrong amounts or excessive amounts, too much cardio, or cardio in general, this is what it can do. And there's a lot of elite athletes. Another famous woman athlete that just died recently was Greta Waits. I bet anyone's heard. Anyone heard of Greta? She's a famous marathon. Won the New York City Marathon like 7 times. Phenomenal athlete. But she died from cancer. And there's a lot of other people, Jim Biggs and other people. It's just not the right thing to do. Now unfortunately, this projector and size and slide is just really clear, but you might be able to see the distinction there. Which one looks healthy? Can you see the person that, like the African American?
Yeah.
Or it might be British. But you can see the definition of muscle, right? Does this guy look like he's going for a starvation camp? I didn't look much different, actually. So, that's another clue, kind of how people look. Maybe their exercise program is better for them. So, here's part of the reason. As we age, this is the big, I didn't understand this until recently, until actually last year. It was last year, I went to Mexico, and it was a fitness camp, and I'll show you a bit. And we learned this from Bill Campbell, but essentially, there is growth hormone that tends to decline with age. We have menopause, right? Where the estrogen levels decline, typically about 50 years old. Well, we have somatopause. Somato means, I think means body, Greek, but it refers to somatotropin, which is the Latin term for growth hormone. And so we have the somatopause where you can see these growth hormones, HGH is the growth hormone, decreases as you get older. So, typically somewhere about 30 or so, it starts to go down. So, and growth hormone is very important to stay healthy, and that's why many athletes will actually inject it. At an expense of about $1,500 a month. And you know what? It has side effects when you do it that way because the body isn't allowed to interact and feedback with it. So you do too much, you never get the right amount. So ideally, we'd like to make this ourselves. The way we make it ourselves is through the right type of exercise. And cardio will not increase your growth hormone. Will not. Does not. Why? Because there's certain muscle fibers that do. This is an example of a graphic illustration of a muscle fiber. And a slow muscle fiber is typically what most people do when they exercise. Or this would even include most strength training. So you're just going to exercise those muscle fibers. But the fast muscle fibers, or specifically the 2A fibers, are the ones that produce this growth hormone. You only do that with this high-intensity anaerobic type exercise. And I learned this from Bill Campbell. He called it sprint 8, and I called it peak 8. But this concept of chemo trains a lot of professional athletes. And this peak gate, has anyone here heard of peak gate, right? You see me doing it in my video? How many here people are doing peak gate? Good. Hopefully we can get it. It's very hard, right? Yeah, so the key is you only have to do it like literally once a week. You can't do it twice. It's not something you do all the time. I wouldn't do it 3 times. Definitely don't do it 3 times. Twice. But you got to do it the right way. If you're doing it the right way and you're reasonably healthy, once a week is all you need. Once a week. What's the right way? It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's only 4 minutes of exercise. It's 4 minutes once a week. But basically there's a warm-up of about 3 minutes, and then you go as hard and intense as you can for 30 seconds, and then you recover, which is usually like walking or going exercising much gentler for 90 seconds, and then you repeat that cycle 7 more times, or a total of 8 times, and then you warm or pull off. So that's only 20 minutes. But yeah, it definitely hurts, because if it's not hurting, you're not doing it the right way. Because what your goal is to go hard enough so that you reach your maximum heart rate, which is calculated as 220 minus your age. But you can, that's just a rough number to start with. Some may not be able to go higher. When I first started doing this a year ago, I'm 56 years old, so my maximum calculated heart rate was 164. And I was able to get up to 168, 169, I was really pushing. But just yesterday, the day before, I got to 175. So you really want to go ideally higher than your gut rate, because that means you're getting in better shape. But once you do that, you'll get this massive surge of growth hormone. And really, a miracle of what exercise is all about. Because it really replicates what we were designed to do, what our ancestors were doing. And wild animals do. Wild animals don't run marathons. Not typically. Not typically. But they will sprint for their food, and then they'll rest. So that's replicating the more natural pattern. Whose birthday is it today? You have 2 birthdays? Do you have your license with you to prove it? All right, stand up, ready, get them. You 2? 3 birthdays. That's very uncommon. All right, if you got your license ready, we'll give you a birthday. Happy birthday. Is it all? Now, time to stop taking vitamin D. Who's taking vitamin D? You should be taking vitamin D.
Come on, Doc.
No more vitamin D. Orally.
We want our money back.
You should get it from the sun. This is summer. It's sunny out, right? Vitamin D, if you get it from the sun, is going to activate 2,000 to 3,000 genes. So it is clearly the most important vitamin you can have. Ideally, you want to have your blood tested, because there's no way to know what your blood level is. It's impossible to figure it out. You need to get it checked. It prevents cancer, prevents almost every chronic degenerative disease we know. It's essential because you're accessing the basic foundational elements of what we're designed to be exposed to, which is the sunshine. Now, I live in Chicago, as many of you do. I was born and raised in Chicago. And that's what Chicago looks like in the winter, right? So, you can't get much good sunshine in the winter. Even if you went out naked, I'd be like, that day, you're not going to get any vitamin D. Just not going. Sorry, are you?
What about the spray?
Oh, I thought you would. I can't answer the question.
Okay.
So the other option is to get a safe tanning bed, which is better than oral. Believe me, it's better than oral. Now, it has to be a safe tanning bed, and that means there's an electronic valves. There's a lot of tanning beds out there, electronic valves, because that's where most of the damage comes. You'll see a lot of medical authorities, they say that tanning beds are dangerous. And they are for 2 reasons. One is if you use a magnetic valve, which generates a variety of magnetic fields, which will cause problems. And you're right next to it for considerable length of time. It's definitely a problem. Plus, you want a sensible dose. You don't want to overdose like anything. If you drink too much water, you'll die, right? It's clean water. Now this tanning bed too, you can get tanning beds. The sun has 95% ultraviolet A. Yes, ultraviolet A is what causes the problems. Ultraviolet B is 5% in the sun, but 10% in a tanning bed. And the ultraviolet B is what makes vitamin D. So this is the safe tanning bed. This happens to be the one that we have. And we have a whole variety of them. It's actually the only types of beds that are certified by the Vitamin D Council. But it's still, it's a better alternative than going to a tanning salon. But still, many of you, for whatever reason, are not going to have access to that or be able to afford it. So what you can do, though, in the summer, or in the winter, is that you can snowbird, right? Have something to do if your life zone allows you to do that. So this is me this last winter, because I go to the beach to surf. And that's the computer there for you to get there. Now, this is my virtual winter office. So I get 2 hours a day of sunshine, but I'm doing my work outside in the sun. And I have a cell phone that actually has 4G, a real 4G, that's faster than most people's home internet, so I can get access to all the files in it. But notice that I'm not wearing shoes. Can you see that? I am being grounded in the sand. And every day I would go out into the ocean and spend 20, 30 minutes out there and get grounded in the water. Salt water works particularly well. So there's this concept called grounding, and I was first exposed to it about 6 or 7 years ago through one of the trainers of Lance Armstrong, who won 7 Tour de France's. And Lance would use this for all of his tours, and a lot of professional athletes do, because it works, it's effective, and it's very inexpensive. But basically, grounding is what happens when you're walking barefoot on the grass. Or, actually, it will work if you're walking on concrete, but it doesn't work on asphalt. Now, Clint Ober is a real interesting Montana farmer who figured this thing out. He was really, just did a series of interviews with him. Anyway, I learned about this 7 years ago, and I had an enormous amount of skepticism, but concern that it might cause more harm than good for the process of getting grounded. Because walking on grass is not going to be harmful, but the technologies to introduce grounding into your home, which is the solution to ground inside, I thought could be. So, but recently, I've pretty much got over that skepticism, and I believe it's a healthy thing to do. So part of the problem that most of us have is that we have what's called EDS. You know what EDS is, right? That's the Viagra commercials? Erectile dysfunction syndrome? Who hasn't heard of that? No, it's actually exercise deficiency syndrome. No, it's not. It's electron deficiency syndrome. What am I talking about, right? Well, what's happening here, this is when most people are walking, or most people in here, you know, about the 70s, we used to have leather shoes. Now we have tennis shoes and rubber, which insulates you from the ground. The shoes prevent that transfer. So you've got run on the grass, you are not grounded, 100% ungrounded. No electron transfer. What is this thing about electrons? Well, the Earth was almost an infinite source of electrons. It's an electron donor. What the heck are electrons? Well, that's what your antioxidants are. They donate electrons. They're very effective. So do you know what that is? What is that specifically? Rouleau. Who said that? All right, she gets one.
No, I'm not.
All right, she can.
That was too easy.
That is Rouleau. Rouleau, but those are red blood cells. They're compacted together, and these red blood cells are electron deficient. They're attracted to each other. You've all heard of capillaries, right? Where the blood goes through the capillaries, and only one cell goes there, right? You think it's going to go through capillary, these things? No, it won't. So that green circle in the middle would represent a red blood cell, which is highly positively charged, and it's deficient in the electrons. And what happens is that the zeta potentials decrease, and when you get electrons flow into your system, then there's like two white poles of a magnet. They repel each other, and then your blood looks like this. It's the way it's supposed to look. It's the way it functions well. So most likely, and then instead of like this. So most likely, grounding, is a supply of those electrons, and it's highly recommended. We're going to have a lot more information about it in the future. And even with a tanning, because you can ground yourself internally with a lot of different devices like grounding sheets and straps. And actually, in the electronics industry, you cannot work in these high-tech electronics without a grounding strap. Otherwise, they'll blow out the circuits. So, WHO is the World Health Organization. These are examples of the previously classified 2B carcinogens. Those looks like anything that you'd like to be playing around with. What do you think? Pretty dangerous typically? Stay away from them? Not a good idea to play with them? Well, did you know the new class 2B carcinogen that was just announced less than 2 weeks ago? Cell phone. Yes. All right, you give this guy a shirt, a book. Cell phones. They are, now I have written about this for over 10 years. So finally we're having some validation that this is a real issue. You're going to see more and more of it. And this is really a big deal. So the practical take-home information is that this is real. Even though you can't see, hear, or feel it, it's going to cause a problem. So you need to be protective when you're using cell phones. Ideally, you would use a speakerphone, okay? Most cell phones have speakers. Use it. And when you're using it, don't hold the phone because you're still going to get it. So like put it there. Let's stand up and talk like that. Now sometimes that's not going to be convenient, so what you want to use is a safe headset. A Bluetooth headset would be a vacuum, air hose, where none of the magnetic frequencies are going to be traveling up. So that's what I definitely recommend. So please be aware this is real and act accordingly. So here's some new information that most people don't know about. What are the safer carriers? CDMA, there's two technologies to transfer cell phones, CDMA and GSM. CDMA phones do not pulse their signals. GSM phones emit 28 times more radiation. 28 times more radiation. So would you like to have a CDMA phone? Who has a CDMA phone? Who has Sprint and Verizon? You got a CDMA phone? If you don't have Sprint and Verizon and you're in this country, it's a GSM. So,
Can you say that again?
now, normally, flamingos are born white. Did you know that? They're born white. What turns them to pink? Who said krill? You're wrong. Who said accident? All right, she said it first. All right, give her a bottle of astaxanthin. Astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is a very potent antioxidant. I was on Dr. Oz earlier this year with that, and it was really pretty interesting. But it's one of the most important nutrients I've learned about recently, in that it turns pink flamingos pink and gives salmon their color. It's what is actually in krill oil, and it's one of the reasons why krill is one of the best forms of antioxidants. Of omega-3, because it protects the perishable omega-3 fats. So sometimes people ask, what supplements do I take personally? Which is true. So I take krill oil for one of the reasons, because I believe we need an animal source base of omega-3s. I'm listing these in the order of I feel the importance. Because I don't take anything, you have to take something to do it. You can do plant-based omega-3 fats, but I believe, and I think you should, it's not like one is better than the other, you can both, but to do that at the exclusion of the animal-based ones, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. If you had a healthy source of salmon, like wild Pacific salmon, that would probably work too. And that's the source of descendants. I take complete probiotics. We recently upgraded ours to a new form that is even better than the one we have now. So, because the gut, it's all about the gut. I mean, you've got, if you don't have your healthy gut, you're going to run into problems. We'll talk about that in another slide. Descendants mentioned. I take ubiquinol, really important other antioxidants. And there's two different types of antioxidants. Purple defense is another one. This is a water-soluble one. It's not like you need one or the other. Ideally, you need them both because there's a synergy between them. They each perform different functions. And then lastly is emulsion. And we actually have two booths here. So if anyone had any, because I'm not going to have a lot of time today. I thought I had 2 hours and I have one. I actually have 10 minutes left. So we have two booths, one for our website and one for our clinic. If you're interested afterwards, this is oh, Liberty. Where's the transition? It's a really cool transition, but this is obviously not PowerPoint 2007. Liberty, you can see, it's not all the point. You know, we have new initiatives. It's all about liberty, and that, you know, the founding fathers put that on the point. And here's some examples of this prominent Americans, some of the founding fathers, what they said about liberty. Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John F. Kennedy. And it's even in the Declaration of Independence, the famous phrase, we're all life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So do you know what's the biggest threat to your health safety?
Congress.
FDA.
State government, FDA, World Health CDC, these are the biggest threats. So we know that. In fact, because when you get these huge corporate interests in these large mega organizations, there's a tremendous opportunity for conflict of interest. So we are here today announcing initiatives. Not that we are going to have 4 main focuses on the site. We're aligning with some of the most prominent pioneers in these fields. Now, actually, let's introduce them from here. Barbara Little Fisher is our partner for vaccine. Is she here? Barbara, that's Barbara. Can you give Barbara a hand? We had a brainstorming meeting last night. We were out till like late last night, like almost midnight meeting. And Ronnie Cummins, is Ronnie here?
No, he's on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, well, Ronnie's not here. Paul Connick. Paul's another person. And then Charlie Brown. Charlie, there it is. Charlie is. Jeffrey Smith. These organizations to Jeffrey Smith Institute of Responsible Technology to make some significant issues. Now, Paul is an amazing guy. He really has the Fluoride Action Network, and because we've been poisoning America since 1945. And it destroys your bones and your brain. It just does. Bad news. 41%, this is the information came out this year, 41% of adolescents have dental fluorosis. 41%, this is what their teeth look like because they're drinking fluoridated water. Now, that's what it's doing to their teeth. You know what it's doing to their brains and their bones? It actually goes into your pineal gland, calcifies it, and causes loads of complications like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, so it's bad news. Fortunately, Paul's making tremendous efforts. These are some of the major cities that actually have rejected fluoridation. Fairbanks elected this recently. There's over 250 he's helped get rid of mercury in the last 10 years. So this process works. He's got some big ones on the target that could fall in the very near future. Austin, New York City, Atlanta, and the entire state of New Hampshire. The other initiative is mercury. It's a very toxic substance. It's more toxic than lead, cadmium, or arsenic. And government authorities, you know, they tell us that before you put the mercury in and after you take it out, it's a toxic waste. It's a biohazard. It's dangerous. But if you can put it in your teeth, it's okay. So, you know, don't let the FDA deceive you, spread the word, you should have mercury. Avoid mercury fillings for you and your family. So, but if you have a mercury filling, how many people do? Gotta be really careful, don't make the mistake I did, and have them all removed by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So it's really important to see a biological dentist who understands this process and performs the proper precautions, because otherwise it's like going from the frying pan into the fire, and you will get worse. Mercury is not something you play with. It's very, very dangerous. It's a toxic poison. No question about it. And Charlie's doing phenomenal work with respect to making sure that it's really not even available. I mean, he's taking an environmental perspective. He's doing a lot of work on an international basis and getting treaty signs to identify this as a toxic poison. Root canals are another issue. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You should not have a root canal. Read the site for one. Now, GMOs. Multiple animal studies indicate there's a serious health risk with these GMO foods. Because when you eat these foods, guess what? They have genes that get incorporated into your DNA and actually cause your DNA, your own bacteria, to make these proteins. So they continually produce that inside you. That's a big issue. So, in fact, in 1992, the government, the FDA, said that there was no information that that GMO foods were any different than regular foods. So why did they give them a patent? But that's the justification they use to not label them, because they know if they label them, that no one, it's like putting a stone crossroads on the no one buy the food. 1985, when I graduated, finished my family practice residency, and I gave vaccines to children. We gave 17 doses of 7 vaccines before the age of 6. Hopefully that's right. That's right? Oh, yes. Just said it this morning. So. But that's it. That's because, you know what we're doing now? 3 times that. 49 doses of 14 vaccines. That's what we're doing right now. That's the recommendation. Huge, huge problem. Now, we actually co-sponsored an ad with Barb this year. It was in March. 5 weeks. It was in Times Square on the Jumbotron. This was the ad. All we did was tell people, listen people, be aware, educate you. You see, are we saying you're not vaccinated? No. But the American Academy of Pediatrics got really ticked off. They wrote CBS, national media we got from this thing. They were all ticked off because they said, you can't do that, you're anti-vaccine. We're telling people just to learn the truth. So, folks, vaccine companies contribute millions of dollars to the American Academy of Practice. And most pediatricians rely on it for their money. They're $1 billion a year on vaccines. And there's 200 vaccines in the pipeline. You thought 49 was, they're going to give a vaccine every week. That's what they're coming to. They just got meningitis vaccines in the pipeline. Informed consent is to medical risk taking is a human right. So this is a big push we're going to do is vaccine safety and informed consent. And Barb actually said this last night, and I think it's so true, and it's all these issues, GMOs, fluoride, and mercury, we must preserve the biological integrity of the human race. Because all these issues are literally screwing our descendants. They're going to be completely impaired. So we really have a duty to our descendants. So there's all truth goes through 3 stages. This is Arthur Schopenhauer, a German philosopher from 200 years ago. First is ridicule. Then it's violently opposed, and finally, it's widely accepted. Change is coming. Top quiz. Name this country. Richest in the world, largest military, center of global finance. No. Public world innovation, world reserve currency, highest standard of living.
China.
No, you guys are all wrong.
China. Get into it, Doc.
All wrong. England. That's telling you change is coming. It happened in England, right? It's going to happen in the United States. The economy is going to crash. It's guaranteed. There's no doubt in my mind. None. This is not a bad thing. It's a major opportunity for major opportunity. Because you're not going to be able to afford these expensive toxic drugs. People need something that works. So you need to learn as much as you can and be like a Boy Scout and be prepared. Did you know, who is that guy? That was me in high school. No, that's what I'm fantasy. So, anyway, you know, I guess rest, exercise, and recovery, and health through thinking, right? So this is a picture of our executive team. Actually, Steve Rye, why don't you stand up? He runs the company. Jennifer, my sister, my lovely sister.
Screw you off, Doc.
She's in the picture too. So this was last year, we went to Breckenridge, did the Arkansas River, class 4 rapids. Really great, had a fun time. So our strategy is to leverage technology. We've got pretty good at it. This is an example of an idea in 1983, 20 gigabytes, $1 million, 4,000 pounds, 2 tons, and this is a 2011 micro SD card, 32 gigabytes, half a gram, and $50. So this is Moore's technology on steroids. iPad 2. Anyone have iPad 2? Great stuff. You know, it's faster than a 1985 Cray supercomputer. An amazing thing. So this technology can be used in leverage, especially in social networks. And this is a graph showing Facebook is emerging. You know, it's going to actually see Google, YouTube, certainly see Yahoo. So this is the important point, is you need to get involved. You can get involved. You can make a huge difference because all of us have about 125, 150 people we know. So the goal is to tell them the truth, do it in a loving way, educate them, family, friends, and coworkers, and you can make a difference. Because first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Presentation, as you see, I had to speak to a lot of stuff, and there's no time for questions. So I'm sorry.